All right, all right, all right. Welcome in Toilets to Titles, episode number 141. This is season 3. This is the first week of season 3 for us, Justin. We have been doing this for 3 seasons, which I cannot believe we've made it. The off season has been long. It has been grueling. All right, it's been up and down. It's been a roller coaster, but we kept going. All right, we fought through this off season. We grew. We got bigger. We got stronger, and I think we're ready to dominate year 3 of Toilets to Titles. But Justin, how you feeling this evening, my man?
I feel great. It's like when you go a long time with your favorite TV show, like you have Stranger Things out there, and you've been waiting for months for it to start up, and now here's season 1. This is or episode 1. This is
Yeah,
season 3, episode 1.
yeah,
So exciting.
yes, and you can't binge it, unfortunately. But fortunately, because I would just, if I could, I'd fast forward to the Super Bowl, and then I'd be very upset that I did that. So
Well, you can go back and binge the last 2 seasons if you
yeah.
want.
No, I'll go back and binge like the Cowboys' last Super Bowl. That's one, and that was pretty long ago. I think I was 7 or 8, so I might need to do that to get some joy because I'm a little nervous about this season. But I'm letting everybody know you can find us on the Twitter at Toilets to Titles. Justin is on the Twitter at JustinFF_, and I am on the Twitter at Coach Sheps. And I appreciate everybody in here this evening. If you're watching this live, we go live every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. If you're not watching us live, we appreciate you checking us out. Throw us a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and hit the bell, all right, on YouTube, because every time we go live, we got tons of shows. We got Jared and Russ coming on right after this. They're talking IDP. Go check out our Twitter handle at Toilets Titles. Check out our in-season show schedule, and you'll see, man, we are rolling Monday to Sunday, all right, and we'll be with you all season long, okay? Also, if you have a podcast, throw us a 5-star review. That'd be greatly appreciated. That'll get you into Frankenstein. If you throw us a 5-star review, you take a screen cap of that, you DM it to one of us on Twitter. That'll get you in the Frankenstein Listener League, which is a lot of fun, and I'm pretty fired up for that to kick off this week. Justin, how's your Frankenstein lineup looking this week?
You know what? I don't want to jinx it, but I'm actually pretty excited. This is the third season of the Frankenstank, and it's the first season I've gone into week 1 feeling pretty good about my team. Not to say that it's definitely going to be a shoe-in by any stretch, but I at least have a team that I know is going to compete week 1, and that's really all you can ask for.
Listen, I don't want to jinx it either. And Rich, Joe, Uncle Steve, Funkle Steve, everybody's in here. What's up, everybody? I don't want to jinx it, but I am going to smack the shit out of Campy this week. My roster,
I
I'm
don't want to
telling
jinx
you.
it, but I'm about to jinx the shit out of this.
Yeah, I am going to. My team is loaded. All right, let's see if I could find. I can't find on MFL right now the live scoring summary. Dang it. Let's see if I have my week 1 matchup. No, I can't find it. Whatever. I looked at his roster. I'm not too impressed. All right. You know, that maybe he pulls it off, but if he doesn't, I am stealing Jonathan Taylor from him. And then everybody out there, I am putting you on notice. Try to stop me because then I'm gonna be steamrolling after that. So Campy, I'm coming for you week 1. I'm taking what I want, and what I want is Jonathan Taylor. Hopefully he's not listening, because if he is, he's very vital and important to the everything that goes on behind the scenes at Toilets Titles, and I don't want him to hurt me. So, which he could.
So we don't have the what do you call it? The point spread or anything on there right now, but I do have on the screen now your actual lineup.
Okay.
If you want to go over this real quick, but essentially from what I'm seeing here, it looks like you've got Derek Carr and Lamar Jackson, so a pretty solid tandem there going up. I mean, Lamar has the Jets, so you got to figure he's gonna eat. Going up against Tom Brady, who's been awful all offseason, and going against your tough Cowboys defense. And then Matthew Stafford, he's going to have to air it out to keep up with Buffalo. And then your Damian Harris and Aaron Jones. Yeah, you're definitely going to have to go after that running back, because I think
Yes.
Jonathan Taylor will help you a ton. But
Right.
Fortunately for you, I'm rooting for Jonathan Taylor to score about 400 in this league. So we need to embarrass the Texans right out the gate. So, but I think that plays into your favor. I think you're going to see a lot of Naheem Hines this week. So Cooper Kupp for you with Juju going up against Arizona. Jalen Waddle looks like he's going to play this week. Mike Williams, he's also playing 4 wide receivers. Ayuk, Bateman, Mooney, and Smith. So that means you're playing 2 tight ends, Zach Ertz and Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox finally back with the team. I'm sure he's going to be ready to have a big game this week for his brother. And then George Kittle is who you're going up against. So, yeah, decent matchups. I think it's going to be close.
I got it in the bag. All right, I ain't shook. I ain't scared. All right. I do want to, I briefly touched on the show schedule. I want to move on to that. I do want to recap that a little bit. Everybody, if you are subscribed, I want to make sure you know that Wednesday nights, we got Wednesday morning, we got Down Under Dynasty. All right. With Matt and Ben, 6:30 a.m. Joe Knows, 8 p.m. Dollars to Deuces, our betting show, Wednesday nights, 10:30 p.m. Friday nights, we got P2P with Boomer and DDP. That's Jared and Nino talking college football. Saturday night, we got Dash of DFS, which was a late second audible. We moved it from Thursday night to Saturday night. It just worked out better that way. And then Sunday mornings is the Blitz, which is, if you're tuning in for anything, like hopefully you're tuning in for all this stuff, but the Blitz is your show. Like you drive that show. You need to be tuned in Sunday morning at 10:30 so you can ask all your start sit questions, as many as you want. That show is for you. So we hope to see you in there. Justin, I think we have well, actually, before we get to that, check out toiletstitles.com because you're going to see my do's and duds from tonight. All our articles, everything's on toiletstitles.com. So make sure you check that out. But Justin, we got a 5-star review recently. Why don't you go ahead and read that one out?
Yes, we do. This week's 5-star review comes from Trey Smokey. Trey Smokey on Apple Podcasts left us this kind review. It says, "These guys always have great material, and you get to learn a lot of things most people miss. Great cast here." So thank you very much, Trey Smokey. We appreciate the support, and because of being our very first one here, if you can get back with us anytime soon, we're going to send you a nice little prize pack.
There we go. Prize package to Trey Smokey. Man, we got a great cast here. We got it. We definitely have a cast. We got about 16 people with toiletstitles.com now. So there we have a full cast, and you're going to see all of the cast of characters basically every day, all season. So Justin, let's get into some real discussion. Finally, week 1 NFL fantasy football discussion. Let's start off with the injuries, the news. Steelers named Mitch Trubisky the week 1 starting quarterback. There was kind of a debate going on behind the scenes whether it would be Pickett, and I'm talking about in our circle, Toilets to Titles, in our group chat. Some people thought it was going to be Pickett. I didn't think it was going to be Pickett. I also thought it was kind of not very cool for Tomlin to say it was an open competition because I didn't think it'd be Pickett. And I also think it looks bad that it was an open competition and he lost to Mitch Trubisky. But what are your thoughts on Mitch Trubisky being the week 1 starting quarterback?
I mean, I always kind of thought that Mitch was a little bit better than he showed in Chicago, and he does have some ability. He's got some athleticism. He's got an ability to move the ball 2 different ways. So he's kind of a dual threat. That's not a huge threat, if that makes any sense at all. So like, I think for that team, I think for the fact that Kenny Pickett does need to sit and learn and not get banged up right out the gate, I think it's a smooth and a really good decision. I like the decision. I still think that unless Mitch lights it up, which I don't think he's capable of, unless he lights it up, we're still going to see Kenny Pickett by the end of the season.
All right, you mentioned this a little bit earlier. Dawson Knox returns to the team after dealing with his brother's death. It looks him and Josh Allen were rolling at the end of the season. It seemed like it completely carried into this offseason, preseason. I'm expecting big things from Dawson Knox. I think that offense is going to have a monster year, and I think Dawson Knox is going to be like top 7 fantasy tight end this season. So what are your thoughts on Dawson Knox returning?
Well, first off, I want to say good on you to the Bills Mafia. They raised over $200,000 in honor of Dawson Knox's brother. I'm not exactly sure what they're using that money for, but it's obviously going to go to some sort of a good cause. So good on you, Bills Mafia. But yeah, it's he's going to dedicate the season to his brother. He's already in line to have a big season, and not to try to capitalize on that kind of situation or anything. But I don't think that's his intent. But I do think that adds a little extra passion, a little extra fire. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play on Thursday night.
Yeah.
It's almost here.
Yes. Joe asked a question. Speaking of playing soon, Joe asked Dameon Pierce at flex or Ramondre Stevenson. All right. For looking at this face value, I'm thinking Dameon Pierce because I know he's starting, but I also think the Colts are going to beat the brakes off the Texans and they're going to have to throw. So that's going to probably limit early on. Pierce will get some touches. Maybe he'll fall into the end zone, but also I'm just scared to start Ramondre Stevenson. He's looked great. Ty Montgomery's hurt. So there's going to be some passing down opportunities for him. I just don't know. I hate answering any New England Patriots running back, but the ceiling is higher with Ramondre Stevenson. And some people might not like this answer, but do with this what you will. The ceiling is higher with Ramondre Stevenson, but the floor is higher with Dameon Pierce. So it depends on what you're looking for. What are you thinking, Justin?
Ramondre is an absolute beast. I absolutely love the guy. He's incredible when he gets the ball, but you're right. It's Bill Belichick. It's too unpredictable. We don't know. But it makes the decision easier for me knowing that Pierce is going up against the Colts defense. Just like you said, they're going to have to throw early. Even when they do throw or run, it's still a tough defense. You're not going to get a lot of fantasy points on them. So for week one, it's an easy decision. I'm going Stevenson. Most weeks I'm going to lean Stevenson, but I'm also going to be very, very leery about the whole Stevenson is the number one in practice all week long and then a healthy scratch the day of. That's right, Belichick. I haven't forgotten about that twice last season.
Yes, so I'm a little nervous, especially out the gate. We got breathing fantasy football literally in here. It is nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. He said he's firing Burkhead in DFS. I don't know if that means he's firing up Burkhead or if he had him in his roster, but now he's taking him out. You're fired. All right, Lamar Jackson contract talks will stop once the season starts this Sunday. I mean, that's news, but it's out of my control. It's out of your control. There's nothing we can do about it. The guy's going to get paid. And I think it actually bodes better for fantasy players and managers. If he's playing on a contract, it might hurt the Ravens because if he gets hurt, it's dangerous. It might hurt Lamar Jackson. But for us, he's going to be playing for the bag. And you know what? There really isn't too much for him to prove. But I think a long run into the playoffs would be something that would be significant for him and help him get paid. But he's going to get paid. Look what Kyler Murray got. And I think Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback. James Robinson has Jacksonville has confirmed that Robinson will be active for week one, but unsure of the amount of touches and snaps he will receive. Some people are a little bit nervous about Travis Etienne. I saw a lot of questions on Twitter today about Etienne or this guy, Etienne or that guy. I'm not really concerned about Etienne just because maybe James Robinson will eat. Let's say I think Etienne is going to go for 13 to 17 carries. I'm sorry. And then look for like 4 to 6 receptions, which is in PPR, that's 4 to 6 points right there. If he runs for about 60 yards on 14 carries, has 4 receptions for, let's say, 30, 40 yards, that's a 13, 14-point day. And I think that's something you can expect from him. And that's a high floor. So, I'm not too worried about James Robinson. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But this is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think Trevor Lawrence is going to want to get something going. I think he's more likely to use that running back out of the backfield in more of a ground and pound game. Jalen Waddle is missing practice reps due to an undisclosed injury, but Miami's saying there's no serious concern heading into week one. He had a sleeve on his leg, sleeve's off. He's back at practice. Ultimately, what I think he's all right. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I do think they, I said this Sunday night on the roundtable. They practice against the Bucs. They a lot of NFL teams this offseason had joint practices, and I can speak from what I saw from the Cowboys. What it looks like they're doing is they're allowing their veterans to compete in these joint practices, and then they're limiting their reps in preseason. So they're not even using them in preseason. And Jalen Waddle was absolutely torching. I mean, so was Tyreek Hill, but they both put on clinics against these Bucs defenders. And I think the Dolphins probably feel comfortable about that, and they felt like they could shut him down because he's ready for week one. What do you think, Justin?
Well, I was just going to let you go ahead and roll with all of the news, to be honest with you. So, but no, absolutely. I really like the potential for that passing offense for sure. But again, every time we have a lot of these big names come together, I've said this before. That's why I say again, so many times it looks so great on paper, and you just want to see it mold and go together. And I get what you're saying about going up against other defenses in those practices, but those other defenses also don't really want to hurt the other team's guys. So like it was still like preseason. So there's still a lot of question marks there for me, but at the same time, I do have a lot of shares of Waddle and Tyreek. So it's not that I don't think it's going to happen. It's just, you want to see it on Sunday, and we're finally going to get to.
Yep. I see Uncle Steve's question in here. He's playing Justin in our home league. I can start too. I got to answer this question. You're not allowed to, Justin.
This? Like we have to play week one. We're in the same division, so I have to play him twice, and I have to play him right out the gate. 8 teams make the playoffs in this league, so a lot of times I draft my team based on how I think they're going to finish more than begin.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Start.
You're qualifying. You're justifying and rationalizing. Listen, beat them week one. Draft a team that can beat Uncle Steve week one. But Uncle Steve, I'm going with Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Brownie Cooks because, I think that, Aaron Jones, Dylan, they're probably going to split carries. But I think Amon-Ra, St. Brown, he's the wild card of the bunch, but I think he's going to have a day. And I think Brandon Cooks is the safest play of all of them. So I'm going with Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Brandon Cooks. And then Breathing Fantasy Football, he asked, do you guys talk DFS? We do. Saturday nights at 9 o'clock, we have a show dedicated to DFS, but I have a DFS lineup that's going to come up after our dudes and duds. So stay tuned for that. That'll be in about 20 minutes or so. Nate's in here, St. Brown and Dylan. So Nate disagrees. Nate thinks that Uncle Steve should go with Dylan instead of Cooks. But I'm telling you, I think Cooks is a safe play. All right, let me get through this news, and then we'll continue on. Elijah Mitchell, though he is already banged up, 49ers confirmed he should be ready to go week one. And then the 49ers released their official depth chart. And Jeff Wilson's that RB2. Do with that what you will. All right, we got the waiver wire episodes. We're going to talk about Patreon shortly. If you're a member of Patreon, you get our waiver wire episodes that go out like Monday at midnight, Tuesday morning. Jeff Wilson is going to be a hot name. Get him before everybody else does, okay? Chris Godwin is a true game time decision as of September 6th. He confirmed on a podcast that he's a true game time decision. So that'll be interesting to see. Mike Evans there, Julio Jones, they'll get a lot of work. And then J.K. Dobbins, Coach Harbaugh stated that he is hopeful that Dobbins can suit up. I'm very worried about him. And again, Sunday we mentioned that he just doesn't look explosive from the few clips I've seen. I haven't seen too much of him, but what I've seen on Twitter, what videos I've seen, I'm definitely a little worried about him. And I have him, Scott Fishbowl. So I'm not feeling great about that. I went kind of late running back. I went wide receiver heavy. So I'm kind of counting on him. Hopefully James Cook steps up because that's my other running back option for my SFB 12 team. And then finally, Van Jefferson. The Rams confident he'll be able to play week one, which is a huge change of events because I remember early in the offseason, it looked like he was going to be out a few months. So Van Jefferson, but I'm still confident in Allen Robinson this week. So I kind of teased our Patreon. I want to let everybody know. Check out patreon.com/toilets to titles to support the team, support the show. We have 5 tiers. Tier 1 is $3. It gets you into the Discord group chat. All right, that's 24/7 access to the crew. We answer start-sit questions, trades advice, and it's less than a cup of coffee a month. $5, that gets you early access into waiver wire episodes, get you invited to Frankenstein, also get you into the group chat. Tier 3 is $7.50, get you all of that in one-on-one draft advice, which is probably not too necessary right now because most drafts have ended. Tier 4 is $10 to get you all of that listed, and then free entry into Frankenstein, which is $25 value. Finally, Tier 5, it's $20 value. It's one-on-one roster analysis and a 30-minute episode breaking down your league, like 100%. We'll break down your league, 30-minute episode. So that's all 5 of the tiers. I did have a deal going on out there. If you sign up for Tier 2, which is $5, okay, the first 5 people that do that, that'll get you access to our waiver wire episodes, okay? This is free content. This is going to help you. I will reimburse you for the first month. DM me on Twitter, @Coach Sheps. Hell, I'll Venmo you the $5 before you even sign up. All right? I'll trust you, okay? I will give you the $5. You sign up. You got to put your card in there, okay, on Patreon. Get the Patreon app so you have access to all the stuff. We'll get you in the Discord chat. And then if you don't like it after the first month, you can leave. And it was $0. It costs you nothing. Okay? I want to give you a shot. I want you to give us a shot. And let's see if we can make it work out. All right. So that is our Patreon now. This is one of the fun things we do every season. We've done this since year 1. this is our game of the week. So Justin, how does the games of the week work for all the new listeners? What do we do? How do we do it? What happens to the winner? What happens to the loser? Why don't we kind of break that down?
Okay, so this season might be a little bit different because for those of you that have watched us in seasons past, we typically have 3 hosts on this show. This season, we're going to be down a host for most, if not all, of the weeks. Nate, we start a little bit earlier than he's used to in the Central Time Zone there, and he's got a lot going on. He's still going to do his
dollars to deuces,
I believe, on Wednesday nights. So he's still going to be around. He's still a part of the team. Don't worry. There's no way we'd want to get rid of that guy. He's just too damn special.
We're like the Beatles, and we're breaking up.
He's just kind of taking a season off from this show, and whatever. But so we got 2 of us now for the game of the week. The way this works is I'm going to say a game of the week. Coach is going to say a game of the week, and then this week we're going to watch it play out. We get points based on how they finish their game. The point differential of the games are the points that we get. So the idea here is like golf. You want to have the lowest score possible. So for instance, so if my game of the week has a 3-point differential, it doesn't matter how good that was. If coach's differential was only 1 point, he still beat me by 2 points. The loser each week, I don't know. Are we still going to try to go with the same punishment, or are we going to think of something else, or what are we doing?
What was the punishment? Oh, we got to pick what your name is for the week, right?
Yeah. So
how about this?
Yeah.
If you're a Patreon member, okay.
Ooh, okay.
In the Discord chat, let's discuss, and also the members of Toilets Titles. We got 9 people in here right now. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll have about 100 views of this episode. So why don't you guys discuss what you want the loser to have? Nothing crazy, because it's a weekly thing. All right. We can't go too crazy, but we can decide what we want to do week in and week out. But how we did it last year is you got to pick the little blurb, the little bubble under our name on YouTube. We got to decide what the other person said, and we had some fun with that. We definitely had some fun with that. Campy definitely did not hear the beginning of this episode because he is in here complimenting me. First time commenter. That's a very attractive jersey. That's it. I throw up the X, and listen, I've been throwing up the X before Des Bryant was a fantasy football guy. All right, all you fantasy football phonies who dumped all over him for all those years in Dallas. Now you're all kissing his behind. Yeah, I've been throwing up the X since before all that. All right, but anyway, I digress. Who won last year, Justin?
Well, technically it was me because of the way that it all fell. Because we ended up going into the playoffs and everything, and then it was
close. It went down to the wire.
Yeah. It literally came right down to you and me in the 2 title games, AFC and NFC title games.
Man, how fun was the playoff fantasy league we did last year?
Oh, that was huge. As a matter of fact, the winner of that reached out to me about a week ago and asked me when this Frankenstein's going to get started. So, because we told him he'd had a free entry, so I've already talked to him. He's cool.
Next year.
Yeah, he said he's cool with waiting until next year.
Man, we're everyone listening. We do our best. There's so much. We have so much going on.
Well, I mean, to be fair, obviously he doesn't really watch the show very regularly, or he would have, known. So
yes.
So he was cool with it.
But I can't wait till that. And again, I don't want to fast forward to that, but make sure you're all staying tuned because we did a very fun playoff league, and you're all probably familiar with playoff leagues, but you could start a player once throughout the playoffs and start and lineup. I think we had a few defensive players in there. My son actually did it. It was his first time playing fantasy. So that was a blast. But anyway, enough. Let's talk about our games of the week.
All right. So my game of the week, it's the obvious one to me. And I was very, very grateful that you left it for me because you got to choose your game of the week first. But it's kicking off.
I didn't get to. I was just the early worm.
That's right.
Well, or the early bird. The early bird, not the early worm. You don't want to be the early worm.
No. That doesn't normally turn out too well. No. But no. So this game is kicking off the NFL season. It's going to be a dynamic game. I actually watched I believe it was yesterday. I watched the Bills and Chiefs playoff game. I watched a game of the Rams from earlier in the season. a couple days ago. As if you can't tell, I'm getting everything vamped up and ready to get all the games for this coming season. So I'm already watching old games. But it's the Bills at the Rams. There's so many implications involved. There's so many fantasy football players on both teams. There's the possibility that these could potentially be the AFC and NFC champions facing in the Super Bowl at the end of the season. Just so much high flying offense, but also a couple of pretty stellar defenses when they want to be. So you really have no idea what you're going to get in this game. And that's exactly what you want in a game of the week. I think it's either going to be a close game where it's a high scoring game, or it's going to be a close game where it's a lot lower than we expect. Either way, it's going to come down to a field goal. And that's a good start for me.
Remember when we used to get junk on Thursday nights?
No,
like the NFL would just throw trash at us because we watch it.
Yeah. Here's the Falcons and the Jaguars. Have fun.
Yeah. Yep. And now we get Bills at Rams. Like, I am fired up for that game. I cannot
wait. We have a lot of Jaguars fans for some reason, so I didn't mean that. I meant to say Falcons and Texans.
Yeah. Well, but we're talking about the past, all right?
That's right.
This year we're pulling for you. All right. We're pulling for the Jaguars. ETN, even though my guy Laviska Shenault got shipped out of town, sent to the Carolina Panthers, I still got love for you, Jacksonville. All right, my game of the week, I got Cowboys at Buccaneers, which is Sunday Night Football. The homer in me, Duval, we got to throw that in there. The homer in me, I'm just excited because I think these are two strong teams in the NFC. Last year, we started off the season playing the Cowboys against the Buccaneers. It was a phenomenal matchup. I'm looking for something like that, but I think this one could be a defensive struggle. Whereas last year was a high-scoring game, I could see this one being a low-scoring game. I think both defenses are very stout, very, very stout. And I'm just looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Micah Parsons going up against Leonard Fournette. I'm looking forward to Tom Brady going up against that interior defensive line, to Marcus Lawrence, Devin White. That dude's an animal. Antoine Winfield, Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb. There's a lot of stars out here, and I'm very fired up for what's Rich talking about down here.
Yeah, I think he must have been late to the show because we're already 27 minutes in, and this is the first Raiders comment from Rich of the new season. So obviously he was late.
Well, the next segment is betting locks of the week. I could have put a betting lock in there that Rich would come in at some point and drop some Raider stuff on us. That's a lock.
I would have lost because I totally would have went with 5 minutes.
That's a lock, week in and week out. Well, I'm going to move on to the betting locks of the week, okay? I am taking the Panthers -2.5 versus the Browns. My man Jared Gray, he's got me feeling the Panthers in this one. I think the Panthers are going to trounce the Browns. The Panthers are going to be fired up and on a mission in this one. The Panthers defense is going to be very good this year. Very good with J.C. Horn, Shaq Thompson, Jeremy Chin. They got some guys on that side of the ball that can really play. The Browns will struggle to move the football. They're going to have Jacoby Brissett in there. I think they'll be able to run, but I think that the Panthers are going to know that's really all they can do. I think you're going to see J.C. Horn line up against Amari Cooper, and I'm not saying he could lock him up, play in and play out, but I think he's going to do a good job, and he's going to be aided by the rest of that defense. And I think they're going to shut down the run. So I'm taking Panthers -2.5 versus the Browns. And then I have the Minnesota Vikings +2 versus Green Bay. So Nate, I took over the segment betting locks of the week, and I'm not sure he's going to be too happy about this one, but Green Bay's days of running the NFC North have come to an end, at least for this year. That's my opinion. The Vikings offense is going to be very, very good, very, very good. That defense will be strong. They got Danielle Hunter back. They got Lewis Cine. I think Lewis Cine's a bad man. You get to put him back there next to Harrison Smith, two dangerous safeties. Packers are going to struggle from growing pains. I do think the Packers are going to be in the playoffs. I think the Packers are going to be fine, but I think you're going to see some growing pains from that offense early on in the season. I think they're going to get it together. I think their defense is going to be ready. Their offense isn't going to be ready, and I think Minnesota is going to pull this one out. All right, so Nate said the Vikings defense is going to be very, very not good, but which is going to be worse, the Vikings defense or the Packers offense out the gate? We'll have to see on that one. But Justin, you got some Vegas bets for week one, so go ahead.
Yeah. First off, I do want to say, though, if we really want to get Nate back here on a weekly basis, all we have to do is continue to trash the Packers. I give it 2 weeks, but no. First off, I agree completely with your Panthers take there, but the Packers one is a little bit more difficult for me to accept. But I can definitely see it happening. The Vikings have been more of a unit for some time here, but I do want to throw out there the Packers are saying that they're going to do a wide receiver by committee look to start the season at least.
Everybody does a wide receiver by committee look.
No, I'm saying like they don't really have a set. This is my wide receiver 2, especially. They're going to do more of a rotation than most teams, and that does not bode well for Aaron Rodgers. He's a guy that he has his guys he trusts, and those are who he's going to, and the rest be damned. So I think we'll find out pretty soon. It won't be a wide receiver by committee. So stay on that waiver wire episode on Sunday nights, because we're going to be paying attention to that sort of stuff. So
Romeo Dubs, that's the guy.
Yep, I've got a few shares of them, so I hope so. All right, now for my Vegas thing. So I was in Vegas this summer, and I made a couple of bets. So this segment for tonight is going to be called "Luck Be a Ram" this week, and it's really the only time all year we're doing the segment, because I was broke when I went. So I only made one bet. I made a big parlay bet in Vegas. This was in the middle of June, and I chose 6 games that I thought were going to be deadlock ringers that I thought were going to be obvious wins. And I laid down a $40 bet, and I was going to get $130 in return if I won. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't just do all deadlock ringers. Maybe I should throw in one that's kind of up in the air. And it was the Rams over the Bills were my up in the air, and that made the payout go from $130 to $370. And it's just straight up bets. I did not bet point spreads or anything like that, which I'm not even sure they had the point spreads at that time. But I've got the Rams over the Bills, the Bengals over the Steelers, the 49ers over the Bears, which I follow Clay Harbor pretty closely on Twitter, former tight end. And he's been to a lot of the Bears offseason stuff. He's been really hyping them up all season. Like he's a committed fan with them, and he seems to think that there's a good shot that they're going to overthrow the 49ers right out the gate. So I'm starting to get a little concerned about that one. But, of course, the Colts over the Texans, Titans over the Giants, and then the Broncos over the Seahawks was another pretty obvious bet. So,
man, I like all of these.
Yeah, and like I said, that Rams one right out the gate, I'll get all my nerves out of the way early until Sunday comes around, and then one of these teams decide that they want to play, and there's going to be a close upset that I'm going to be on the edge of my seat for. But I'm looking forward to this. I can kind of see why some of you guys bet all the time. So the only other
famous last words.
The only other bet that I made in Vegas was I looked at all of the payouts for potential Super Bowl winners at that time, and I didn't want a team that I was just going to lay down a $20 bet on a Super Bowl winner, and I didn't want a team that was going to pay me off $60 if they won, because the odds were just really in their favor, and I didn't want to waste it by betting the Jets or anything. So it was kind of that middle ground territory, and there were about 5 or 6 teams where the payout was pretty decent compared to the bet. And of those teams, the Colts were in there. I'm a Colts fan. I'm already going to be rooting for the Colts, so I did lay down a $20 bet for my Colts to win, which will pay out $460 if they can make it happen.
I'm going off script a little bit, but I want to talk about some of the season-long bets that I put in too. So I had to put money in the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl. All right, that's the homer in me. I do it every year. Got $20 to win $360. I got the Chargers to win. I put $30 on them to win $345. So that means I'm a little more confident in them. And then offensive rookie of the year, I got Malik Willis, 20 for $310. This was back on May 15th. All these bets were made in May. I got Breece Hall, 25 to win $175. I got what else here? I got most receiving yards in the regular season, Jamar Chase, 25 to win $237. Offensive rookie of the year, George Pickens, $35 to win $612. So that's like a huge payout. I got Trey Lance over 3,250 yards, 41 to win 35. I got Breece Hall over 800 yards in the ground, 44 to win 40. Got Zeke over 900 yards in the ground. Got Barkley over 900 yards on the ground. Jalen Waddle over 950. 1,100 is the new 1,000. We're playing with 17 games. Yeah. To me, 950 is what 850 was. You know what I mean? So I'm not concerned about that at all. I got Mike Williams going over 1,000 yards. I think that's money in the bank. And then this last one, Jameis Winston to throw the most interceptions in the NFL, $15 to win 172. So
So that home league that Steve was talking about, I have
yeah.
Zeke and Barkley. So and I face them in week 1. So I'm hoping right out the gate that you get a huge chunk of that yardage.
Hell yeah.
Nate says tune in tomorrow for some long shot bets, which is a new segment that they have on the show. So that'll be nice. And then Rich thought I logged into dollars to deuces.
Yeah.
You guys are tomorrow. We're just throwing out some spoilers tonight.
Yes. Right. We're the losers. They'll win you some money.
Yeah.
Don't listen to us. Listen to them. All right, Justin, Turtleheads. What is the Turtleheads segment before you get into your Turtleheads for the week?
I mean, the Turtlehead segment is pretty much just like it sounds. Pretty self-explanatory. These are players that are about to break out. I'll say breakout because last year I used the term blowout and you didn't like it. But so
It's weird. Yeah.
This is week 1, so I figured I would come strong, and I have 4 4 really big Turtleheads. Allen Robinson is my Turtlehead number 1. Blake Bortles, Mitch Trubisky, and a combination of Trubisky and Foles were the combination of quarterbacks that he had. His 3 of his his 3 best seasons over his career. He's been underrated his entire career because of poor talent around him, and he's always faced the number 1 defensive back week in and week out throughout his whole career. Now he's got Kupp on the other side to relieve that pressure. He has the 14th most receiving yards among all active wide receivers over the last 8 years. And now he gets Matthew Stafford in a high-flying offense. His ADP at the time that I wrote this, which was yesterday, was at the 512. So he's almost a 6th-round pick, like the very tail end of the 5th round in 12-team leagues. He's the 21st wide receiver off the board, but he has finished in the top 13 of wide receivers in 3 of the last 4 seasons, or 3 of the 4 seasons that he's played the entire season long. The other one was early on in his career, and like I said, always with those bad quarterbacks. So there's no way he's finishing anything less than, I don't know, 15th if he has a bad season. And so for him to be the 21st wide receiver off the board is just insane to me. So that's more of a season-long Turtlehead. The next one, also kind of a season-long Turtlehead, would be that doesn't make it sound any better, does it? T.J. Hawkinson. He's 2 years ago. T.J. Hawkinson finished 5th overall in PPR. Even with his bad season last year, he finished 7th among tight ends in points per game. He did miss 4 games. Last season, he was the number 2 tight end in PPR scoring after the first 4 weeks, and he finished 15th overall after missing those 4 games. So what was the biggest difference besides those 4-game misses? It was 7 fewer targets in the red zone with 2 fewer touchdowns, along with a full yard per catch drop in his yards per catch stat. Which may not sound like a whole lot, but whenever you're getting, 65 catches, that's 65 fantasy points right there. Or, well, I guess a yard per catch, say 65 yards. I guess it's not a whole heck of a lot, but still, I guess what I'm getting at is the whole reason behind it was that the center, Frank Ragnow, went down during week 4. And that caused Hawkinson to have to play very closely to the line of scrimmage to play run support. And he didn't get to really break out onto those long receiving routes that he typically normally runs. Ragnow is now back, and I anticipate that the Lions will try to let Hawk find that open hole down the field again. Again, the reason these are Turtleheads is because I feel like they're about to break out much higher than ADP. As we get into the season, you're going to see more of the week by week sort of thing, but I want to see it on the field first. But my next one is Nyheim Hines. I know Colts football very well, and I know what they've been trying to groom Hines to be over the last few seasons in this offense. This is the Turtlehead breakout season that the Colts have been anticipating for Hines. He will be utilized in many positions on the field: slot wide receiver, H-back, two back sets. He's going to be on the field a lot. For an RB2, you're going to see and hear his name a lot. They're going to create and find ways to get him the ball, and he is one of the fastest men in the NFL, which a lot of people don't even realize. But you clock him, he's one of the fastest guys in the NFL. Right now, his ADP is at 125, which is early to mid 11th round, about the 1105, as the 44th running back off the board. I can promise you he's going to finish as a top 25 running back in PPR for this season. So he will be a solid flex option nearly every week. And you may even have to shove him in your starting lineup whenever you start to see how good he's really going to be. Michael Gallup, this one's a little bit off of the norm because he is potentially going to miss the first couple of weeks or so, but he did pass his physical, so he's off the PUP list. And then, of course, Jerry Jones is being Jerry Jones, and he says, "Hey, if this was a Super Bowl, he's going to line up and play." He said that on his radio show on 105.3, The Fan, down there in Dallas. But he was trying to tell us that he really is that ready to play. So I think they're just being kind of cautious with it. Coach, you would probably know a little bit more about that situation and that injury than me, but I do know that an ADP of 130th overall, that's the tail end of the 11th round in 12-man leagues, you're getting who is clearly the wide receiver 2 in a high-powered offense. And when I say clearly, I mean it's definite that CD is the number 1. And it's also definite that the next guy behind Gallup is going to be the next guy behind Gallup. Like when he's healthy, he's out there, he's playing, he's obviously going to be the wide receiver 2 in this offense. And right now his availability is astounding to me. 56.2% available in ESPN leagues, 65% in Yahoo leagues. That's kind of more of our target audience this time of year. People that just play redraft. Those are mostly redraft leagues. But even on Sleeper, he's 33% available and 25% on MFL, which MFL especially really leans more towards your dynasty leagues. So I'm even more shocked that he would be 25% relatively unowned in most dynasty leagues right now. So
yeah. I mean, I like Gallup because, it's not just Amari Cooper's targets that need to go somewhere. It's Cedric Wilson. Dak developed, a thing with Cedric Wilson down the stretch last year. He was really relying on him and he was looking to him. So there's a lot of vacated targets. I think Dalton Schultz is going to get his. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to get his. And when Gallup comes back, he's definitely going to have his too. All right, dudes and duds. So this is the moment I've been waiting for. This is my starts and sits. All right. So I've been, sitting down. Monday was a holiday, trying to, I kind of started working on this Sunday, looking at the schedule. I wanted to wait till all the kind of injury news caught up to me, and sat down, had my cup of coffee, wrote this up. So these dudes and duds, you'll be able to see them on toiletstotitles.com tomorrow morning. So whenever you're listening to this, it's going to go live on Wednesday. So you don't need to write these down. You don't need to remember them all. All right. But if you're looking for them and you want it when you're setting your lineup Saturday or Sunday, definitely check out the Blitz Sunday. But you can go to toiletstitles.com. You can find my dudes and duds there. So my dudes, that's my stardom. That's the guys that I'm starting this week, the guys that I love. All right. So I got quarterback Jalen Hurts at the Detroit Lions. Hurts has been one of the most discussed players by the fantasy football community this offseason. I don't think he'll quite live up to all the hype like all season, but I do think he's going to have some monster weeks. Like he is definitely you're going to cash out with Jalen Hurts. And I think this is the week he's going to have a monster week. Him, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, they are going to feast on the Detroit Lions. And then next, man, I know Justin was kind of talking up the Chicago Bears, but I'm going Trey Lance. So I'm going 2 young quarterbacks. I got Trey Lance at Chicago. I expect Lance to struggle at times this season, kind of very similar to Jalen Hurts. But those struggles will not come in week 1. The Chicago Bears are going to be on the verge of a knockout all season long, and the 49ers will be the first team to deliver a blow. All right, I think the Bears are going to be playing for that top pick. I think they're having some squabbles and some struggles inside the organization. Roquan Smith, who's supposed to be the leader, he's already pissed off with the organization. I think they're in trouble, and I think Lance, Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, those guys are all healthy right now. I can't say they're all going to be healthy all year long, but right now they are. It's a perfect storm. I'm starting Trey Lance at Chicago. Nobody really has film on the guy yet. The Chicago Bears really couldn't prepare for him. I'm sure they have film from North Dakota State and sometimes when he started last year, but they don't have a lot of film of him. So they cannot really prepare for that. And next, my running back, Alvin Kamara at Atlanta. He's an all-time dude. on the Coach Shep's dudes and duds lineups. Alvin Kamara, you'll always find him there. Kamara has been overlooked this past offseason. I believe he jumps into our sight lines week 1. All of the managers who were able to draft Alvin Kamara in the second round or later, like, they're all going to be laughing at their league mates after this one. They're going to be. There's no reason. I mean, we were all kind of worried that he was going to get suspended. He didn't. A lot of people got him second, third, fourth, fifth, and all of them, they're going to be laughing their way to the bank because this dude, he's going to show the world how damn good he is week 1. Next, I got Travis Etienne versus Washington. Etienne will get a full workload of touches. And like I said earlier on, James Robinson might come into his carries a little bit. He might take a few of those. But I'm thinking with his carries, with his receptions, I'm thinking, like I said, around 13 to 15 carries, about 4 to 6 receptions. I believe he'll top 100 total yards. If he gets into the end zone, it's a monster day. So I'm starting Travis Etienne. I got Michael Pittman, Justin's Colt at the Houston Texans. Newly acquired Colts quarterback Matt Ryan knows how to target his wide receiver 1. All right, look for the Ryan-Pittman connection to become a thing very early in this one. The Texans will have their hands full trying to defend Jonathan Taylor, and the Colts passing attack will benefit. All right, so I'm starting up Michael Pittman. Allen Robinson, man, it seems like we're all talking about Allen Robinson this evening. I'm starting him versus Buffalo. I have a feeling the Rams are going to show off their shiny new toy week 1. They're going to show the world, look, we got Allen Robinson. Everybody forgot how good he is. This dude's a stud. Excellent body control, excellent catch radius, phenomenal hands. Matthew Stafford's going to abuse this man. He's going to give him every single target he can. Cooper Kupp's still going to get his, but Allen Robinson's going to get his as well. Tight end Dalton Schultz versus Tampa Bay, with Michael Gallup likely out until about week 3. Dak Prescott will target Schultz very often. I'm saying very often. I wouldn't be surprised if Schultz has somewhere between like 8 to 12 receptions in this one. Might only go for about 70 yards, but that's about 15 points right there. If you're playing in tight end premium, that's like 8 times 1.5. I can't do the math right now. That's like 12. Yeah, that's 12 right there. So that's not a bad day. It's about 19 points. Finally, my flex. This is another dude. I gave him a trophy last year. We had our award show at the end of the season. Cordell Patterson. He was the gift that kept on giving last year, man. People are overlooking him as well. He's playing against New Orleans. I have to start the season by flexing my man. CPAT, all right? He's going to be going off against the Saint defense that just got rid of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I don't know who they're going to have matching up with Cordell Patterson. They're not going to be able to put, a safety, a corner on them, because they're going to have to worry about Drake London. They're going to have to worry about Kyle Pitts. Cordell Patterson is going to feast underneath, across the middle. He's the flex play there. If you got him on your roster, take him off your bench. Put him in the flex. All right, finally, my duds. All right, Aaron Rodgers at Minnesota. I think the Packers are going to try to lean on the run in this one. The passing attack, like you said, he's going to be by committee, spreading it around. I think it's going to struggle due to lack of experience. Rodgers is still a bad man, but it's just going to take some time for them to get together. So I'm not starting Aaron Rodgers this one. Tua Tagovailoa versus New England. All right, I'm a little worried about this one too. I'm high on Jalen Waddle. I'm high on Tyreek Hill, but week 1, I'm just a little bit nervous. My buddy Mike, he's a Dolphins fan. He was telling me I might want to rethink this because generally New England doesn't do very well in Miami, and that's where they're playing. But I just feel like Belichick has had all offseason to prepare for this, all offseason to prepare for Tua. I think he's going to try to shut down the pass and dare them to beat them with the run. So I do not feel comfortable starting Tua Tagovailoa. Next, Nick Chubb. He's another dude. It stings me to sit him because that's my guy. Carolina will not feel threatened by the pass. They will allow their corners to match up 1v1 and those wide receivers in Cleveland. They're going to stack the box. And Nick Chubb's going to have a long day. Next, Breece Hall versus Baltimore. This one's pretty easy for me. My opinion, Hall is the best running back the Jets have. He will be the bell cow sooner rather than later. But I just expect the Jets to start with the committee approach. And that Ravens defense is no joke. And they're not going to be worried about Flacco or Zach. I don't think Zach Wilson's playing. I think it's going to be Joe Flacco. So they're not too worried. All right, so they're going to shut down Breece Hall. I have Amari Cooper at Carolina. So this is the second round I'm sitting. Like I stated above, the Panthers secondary, they're not going to be worried. I think they're going to match up 1v1 with Cooper. Their pass rush is going to get to Brissett. Brissett's not the best thrower. I'm just not trusting Amari Cooper in this one. Next, I got Michael Thomas at Atlanta. This is another easy one for me. I see a lot of people asking questions on Twitter. Should I start Michael Thomas over this guy or that guy? I'm just telling you, I have him on quite a few of my rosters. So I like the guy. I've held on to him. I just am not starting him until I see what he does, what he looks like. I need to see it. I need to see him play a full game. I need to see him not argue with anybody. I need to see him not get dinged up. I need to see him not limp off the field. I need to see a full game from Michael Thomas before I make a decision on whether or not I'm putting him in my lineup. Week 1, I ain't doing it. Next, Hunter Henry at Miami. The Dolphins secondary is legit. Javon Holland, Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, legit. All right, these dudes can play. Noah Igbenogany. I think Byron Jones might be hurt to start the season, but they got dudes back there, especially Javon Holland, who's going to be safety. They know that Hunter Henry became Mac Jones's safety blanket last year, especially in the red zone. They're going to do their best to shut him down because besides Hunter Henry, I'm not worried about the passing attack. It's just the ground game we got to stop if I'm the Dolphins defense. So Hunter Henry's going to get eliminated. Last but not least, flex Chase Claypool at Cincinnati. With Mitch Trubisky at the helm while facing a high-powered Cincinnati Bengals team, the Steelers would do their best, I think, to run the ball, keep Joe Burrow off the field. And I think the guys are going to see more targets. You're going to see Deontay, kind of those short routes. And I think George Pickens is going to eat into Chase Claypool's target share. So I'm sitting Chase Claypool at the Cincinnati Bengals. And next, I'm going to move over to my DFS plays. So I'm on DraftKings.com. Like I said, Saturday, 9 p.m., you're going to see Joe, Dirty Jobs, Mike D. They're going to be on Dash of DFS. All right, but I'm going to give you a DFS lineup prior to them. And this is from DraftKings.com. I'm going with Jalen Hurts at Detroit for 6,800. I'm going with Alvin Kamara at Atlanta for 7,600. Chase Edmonds versus New England, 5,200. A.J. Brown at Detroit, 6,400. I got Jalen Waddle versus New England for 6,400. If he doesn't play, I got 200 left over. I'm thinking about throwing Mike Williams in there. So do with that what you will. It's either going to be Jalen Waddle or Mike Williams. I got Mike Pittman at Houston for 5,500. Pat Freiermuth at Cincinnati for 4,200. George Pickens at Cincinnati for 4,100. And then that Carolina defense versus Cleveland for 3,400. So my dudes, my duds, and my DFS lineup. So Justin, now we got to move on to slow your roll, man. Slow your roll or you're all in. So which is it?
For me, it's you're all in. And I saw yours, so I already know yours too. But I'll leave that for the listeners. But for me, it's I'm all in. I'm all in on Saquon Barkley. He will be a top 5 running back this season with a lot of RB1 overall weeks. So the few weeks that he had last season before he had that crazy freak big ankle sprain that he had out of nowhere, during that few week time frame, we got to see the Saquon of old, and he looked like a stud for those few weeks. And I get everybody wants to say that he's injury prone or whatever, but they're not soft tissue injuries most of the time. It's not like he's out every other week with a hamstring issue. Like these were, it's not often that you see guys blow out the same knee with the ACL injury or whatever. Like these are ankle sprains. Like it's just different. It feels different, and he's such an athlete. He's such a stud. You got Daniel Jones is on his contract season this year. If he wants any kind of a contract at all, he better give the ball to Saquon. He's the only real top-notch playmaker they have left on the team. So you're gonna have to feature him, give him the rock, let him eat, and go win yourself your 3 games.
Yeah, your 3 games. I love it. They'll be competing with the Bears for that first pick and the Seahawks. All right. I'm with you too, though. I think Saquon Barkley is going to eat. He's going to get that bag. I'm all in on George Pickens for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I kind of teased that earlier when I talked about my betting props, and it's not just because it's the biggest payout for me. I've been watching that dude in camp, watched him early on in his career at Georgia before he got hurt. And then after he got hurt, he showed some flashes. He just seems like an alpha. Dude, there was a play in camp this year where he went up, like mossed the dude, then looked at the other defenders, like veteran defenders, and just yelled at them, "Don't say shit." Like, that's what he said to him. Like, basically, shut your mouth. Like, owning them. I love that energy. I love that energy, dude. And a quarterback like Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, not super confident. Who do you want to throw it up to? I want to throw it to a dude who's going to battle for it and going to go up and get it. And I believe George Pickens has a good shot to go up and get it anytime you put that ball in his vicinity. So I'm all in. Go ahead.
What's funny is that I was in the midst of typing that I felt pretty strongly that it was going to be a rookie wide receiver that won Rookie of the Year, and I was thinking that it was going to be Sky Moore or Chris Olave, but then I saw yours, and I was like, well, that makes sense too. And I was like, well, we can't both have a Rookie of the Year wide receiver
We could do
thing
a little. We could do a little
all
wager.
in. Well,
We
yeah,
could
I
do
mean,
a wager.
we could do like a bathroom board bet or something. But I'm saying
Yeah.
like, for this segment, I had to
Right.
change it up a little bit. So
I respect that, but I do like Olave. In the film that I've seen of him, it just looks like there's never anybody around him. Like the
yeah.
dude is always wide open.
Well, the
Eh,
reason I was kind of leaning towards Sky Moore is because I don't really watch college film like hardly at all, but I was watching some of Sky Moore, and he seems like the versatile type of wide receiver that they're going to try to play almost like a Debo Samuel role.
Right.
I think he's going to get a lot of rushing attempts too because CEH sucks. Okay. And I think it's going to finally prevail this year that everybody else is going to realize it too. And so they're going to need to find some rushing yards some way. So that's kind of why I was leaning that way.
All right, we got to wrap this up because we have head-to-head IDP coming up next. But speaking of NFL draft, this week the NFL draft project we've been working on is probably going to go live. All right, toiletsandtitles.com. Check the NFL draft tab. We're working with Shane Hallam, draftcountdown.com. We took their top 150 and we put the 150 it's going to be on our site. And the names are going to be hyperlinks when we've done reports. And we've done reports on 20 players right now. We're trying to get up to 25 before we go live. Probably within the next month, we'll be up to about 50 to 75. We'll have 150 done by mid-October. Then we're going to start doing big boards, mock drafts, all that good stuff. So thank you, Shane, for letting us use that. Thank you, Joe and Nino, for helping me write up these reports. And we're attacking these write-ups. So we got you covered, man. All right, we got you covered. So let's end this thing with this time next week. What are we going to be talking about next week, Justin?
For me, I'm going to be talking about how the Lions just proved that all of this offseason Eagles hype was completely uncalled for. They're decent at most positions, and I get it. They have good wide receivers and tight ends. They've got a good defensive line. They have a great offensive line, but they're pretty much average everywhere else across the board when compared to the rest of the teams in the NFL. And I'm not buying into the Jalen Hurts hype. I get he's great for fantasy, but for winning football games, I'm just not falling into it. I'm just not on the Eagles. I don't think they make the playoffs. I don't think that they're going to be real huge contenders for the playoffs. Even I think they might even be, a couple of games out from the playoffs still. So I think they're still a season away at best, unless Jalen Hurts has really improved a ton over the offseason and he impresses me a little bit more. But I think the Lions are also a lot better than a lot of people are giving them credit for this season. And you don't want to say that the Lions are going to come out and play really well because it's the Lions, and unfortunately they're going to lion it away. But at the end of the day, I think they're good enough that they're going to compete, especially early on, and they're going to make the Eagles, people that have been touting the Eagles, be a little bit concerned after week one.
All right. I mean, I think the Eagles got a good secondary too. Slay, they brought in Bradbury. Now they got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So we'll see. We'll see. I think the Eagles are decent, but we will see. I hope they're not, but I think they're going to be. All right. At this time next week, I got that the Vikings are the talk of the NFC North. That's what we're all going to be saying this time next week. After they dethrone Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, I think they do it in a way that we all kind of think like, man, this is a legitimate win. They're not just going to squeeze by with a field goal. I think we're all going to be saying they're the talk of the NFC North. That's what we'll be saying at this time next week. And for this week, that wraps it up. The first in-season episode of season 3 is wrapped up. We appreciate everybody who's in here, everybody who watched it live, everybody who isn't watching it live. Check out toiletstotitles.com. Hopefully we see you next week in here, 8:30 p.m. every single Tuesday. Go to Toilets to Titles on the Twitter at Toilets to Titles. Check out our show schedule. We have you covered all season long. We got everything covered top to bottom. All right. So good luck this week. Don't panic. All right. You drafted your roster. You made it this far. Don't get cute. All right. Don't make any ridiculous decisions. Don't panic. It is week 1. Trust your gut. Think about it this way. You want to start this guy. You don't want to start that guy. Think about who you'd be more pissed if they were on your bench and they flopped. All right, I think that's kind of how I like to think. Would I be more pissed if I sat this dude and he went off, or if I sat this dude and he went off? All right. So that's the little bit of advice I have. And my other advice, stay tuned if you play IDP rather, because Jared and Russ, they got you covered. Head to head IDP next. Take care.